This is CrossFighters. Now, I've already played this game in the past before, purely just for the fact it was for a promotional challenge to get rewards, but I don't think you guys realize just how fun this game actually is. Like, out of all the Rec Room games I've played nowadays, this one right here probably is the most fun I've ever played, and that's coming up from a lot from me, who has played, maybe a little too much games, but still, this is probably one of the best I've played, purely for the fact that it's just honestly too much fun. But there's one thing that makes me mad most in this game. Everyone I see that's new to playing this game, they have two outcomes that are going to happen once they join. Either A, they're immediately going to be trashed by, literally anyone in the server for being new and not reading the tutorial, or B, they read the tutorial, learn nothing, and still get dunked on by people way better than them. It pisses me off that people have genuinely told me that the tutorial does nothing to help them. Like, it genuinely makes me mad that there's a tutorial in this game, and it does nothing for them. And as a moderator, this genuinely just pisses me off, because what's the point of trying to learn a game if the tutorial doesn't help you with anything? So what am I doing? I'm making a video about that. I'm making a video about how to learn the basics of CrossFighters. That's all I'm gonna do. For each of the individual characters though, I'll just cover them in different videos that are separate from the actual fighting mechanics in the game, because every single one of these characters have different abilities that you can use. I'm just gonna be going over the basic mechanics such as punching, blocking, air combat, and dashing. And probably other stuff in the future, but still. I'm just gonna go over the basics for now, so let's just get started. As soon as you join the game, you'll be meeting with a bunch of characters. It doesn't matter which one you select, you'll automatically be given fists. This is how you punch. Alright, so here I am. This is my testing dummy. It's just a separate linked person right here on my phone. Now, how you punch is very, very simple. All you gotta do is just put your hand forward, and then it's a punch. Now, it does 2 damage for a punch, but you can actually chain link those punches. So watch, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I were to punch him, or let's say he were to punch me, I get stunned. Stunning is actually a very important mechanic in this game. Basically, when a move interacts with you, whether it be a punch or an actual ability, you'll get stunned. Basically, while stunned, you cannot punch for any means, you cannot dash, you cannot move, and you also cannot use your abilities. For now, let's teach you about the basic punch combos. Now, for punching, it's very simple. All you have to do is just punch 4 times in a row, and that's considered a punch combo. Notice how the 4th hit is much stronger. You can actually change, like, the knockback they take if you were to change your 4th hit. So, for example, if I were to jump as I'm hitting them on my 4th hit, 3, 4, they get sent up into the air as an uppercut. But one of the best ones, in my opinion, is if you fall down and then slam on them. 1, 2, 3, 4. They get sent into the ground, and they can't move for a good amount of time. For now, that's just the basics to punching. There are ways you can counter punching, for example, just not being nearby someone, or just blocking, which I will explain very soon. Now I'm going to teach you about dashing. So how you dash is very simple. All you have to do is just drop your left hand. If you're playing on PlayStation 4, press, which one was it? Triangle on your left hand, or if you're playing on MetaQuest, just press Y. Of course, you'll dash forward. If you drop it, it'll be sent forward in the direction you're facing. Now, a good tactic I like to do when I dash is simply by just jumping as soon as I do it, so I can get my momentum much faster. Another thing I like doing is just looking up and dashing. You can change which direction you dash purely by changing it in the settings, but this is just the basics to dashing. You drop your left hand, you go flying. But there's also 2 other types of dashes that you can choose. I'll show you this one. This is called the double dash. Instead of pressing the drop button once, you just double click it. You'll A, go faster, B, leave behind a trail, and C, you'll leave behind those little circle things. It's just a much faster dash that helps you with a lot more momentum. But be warned, if you use this in a fight, it's probably not a good idea, because if you miss something, you're pretty out in the open if you don't have your dashes charged up, I'll be honest. That's just the basic of how to dash. Like, drop your left hand, you go. But there's one more dash I want to talk to you about before we go to the next section. Alright, now that I'm back here, I'm going to show you about the wonders of no momentum dashing. Now, it's a setting you can turn on in the tutorial. If you were to go to the tutorial and then look to your right, it would show you the settings for the game. Now, looking at the settings, it'll show you 2 things. the direction that you can change in which you actually dash. So for example, instead of having to point your head, you can point your left hand or your right hand. But what you can also do is activate no momentum dashes, where instead of pressing dash once and then you keep your momentum, instead you just stop unexpectedly. You just immediately go and then stop. Now, there's a few buffs and nerfs to having this kind of dash. For the buffs of having a no momentum dash, it's much faster and has little to no reaction time on it, because it's like a C-step. You can almost C-step with it almost. It's very fast, very quick. But another one of the buffs is that it's much easier for comboing. Because you go so much faster and it's more direct of where you're going to go, it's much more easier to combo someone, like, in the air. Like, if you were to hit someone in the air and dash up to them, instead of having to predict the curvature arc of when you dash towards someone, you'll just have to simply dash towards them while facing them. It's that simple. Now, for the nerfs of having no momentum dash, you can't really run away, like, that well with no momentum dash. Don't get me wrong, you can still do the double dash thing. But in any scenario where you're running away, it's more better to use momentum dashes that are singular rather than using a double dash, because if you hit a wall, you're not getting your dashes back for a good while. But anyway, that's just the basic understanding of dashes.
Okay, just some clarity for the clips ahead. If I sound different in the next few clips, it's purely because the clips before this message was made 3 weeks before the next clips, and during those 3 weeks I was incredibly sick. I don't know with what, but I was sick, so if I sound different, you'll know why. Anyways, back to the tutorial.
Alright, so of course in any fighting game that has punches, you're going to need a means to defend yourself against other people. Well, that's where blocking comes in. Now, blocking is a mechanic in this game that allows you to not take damage during a punch combo, or at least a means of getting you out of a punch combo, if you were to ever be caught in one. In order for you to actually block, all you'd have to do is take both of your hands and put them in front of your face, and keep them at your face level, and keep them at the height of your head. See? I'm blocking. It says block. Okay, don't mind that right now. I'll explain that. So whenever you block, you'll see A, it'll tell you it's blocking via a subtitle, and B, you'll see a little bar above your dash bar. I'll explain what that is. So basically, if someone were to hit you while you're blocking, they get knocked back, and that was an actual block. Whenever I blocked, everything became blue for a second. That shows that it was an actual block. And my opponent got knocked back and stunned during the process. Now, I want you to know that that bar that you see on your screen, that's not just for effects. That actually tells you how well the block was performed. Basically, when you start blocking, that little green area and the gray area, that tells you how good the blocks were. There's 3 different types of blocks in this game.
Alright, so I'm going to be 100% honest with you. It's very hard to actually give a description of like how this worked in game. So instead, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be giving you an example of what it's like to block with the block bar by using just basic Rec Room cubes. So basically, when you start blocking, this bar will appear on your screen. I tried to represent it, so hey, if it's not perfect, I'm sorry. So basically, over time, whenever you start blocking, this white bar, there's a white bar surrounding a black bar with colors on the inside. This bar will slowly decrease over the span of like 2 to 2.5 seconds, maybe. Now, if it were to ever reach the bottom, if it were to start from right, and if it were to go all the way to the left, your block will break. Basically, when your block breaks in this game, you can't block for a short while after that. That's about it. But depending on what time you get punched when you block, actually depends on how well that block was performed. So, for example, let's say that this was decreasing over time, and you blocked a hit, and the white bar is in the green area. That would mean that you performed a perfect block, in which your opponent gets knocked back and stunned, whilst you get out of stun if you were to be in a combo. Now, let's say that you didn't perform that, but you're still getting comboed. Let's say if it were to go down even more. Let's say if you were to hit it in the gray area. If you were to hit a block in the gray area, your opponent will get knocked back and stunned. However, you won't get out of stun. Now, if you may notice, let me just put this back real quick. If you may notice mid-game that the first time you actually start blocking, this little red box, you won't see at all. That is because of how blocking works in the game. When you start blocking in the game, how it works is simple. Every time you're hit during your blocking and it does not count as an actual block, the green bar right here will get shorter and shorter over time. So like instead of being this big, it can be this. It can be up to here this big, up to here this big. Even so much so as up to here this big. And the more times you miss a block and you get hit, the red bar will slowly start to appear. Let me just get that real quick. Oh. Let me just get that real quick. Let me just get that real quick. Over time, this red bar will appear, and it will get larger and larger over time. If you're a block, and it's in that red area, it breaks your block immediately, and it basically just means you can't block for a good duration. But this is just the basics overall to how blocking works. I hope I explained it at least decent enough. You can also break other people's block simply by punching their back whenever they're blocking. There's a few things that you need to know while you're blocking, and it's that A, you cannot block the fourth hit of a combo. Now, B, if you were to be stunned and then your opponent hits you on the first punch, you cannot block that punch. Now, another thing you want to keep note of for blocking, it's very important to know this, you cannot block air combos. That's the basic understanding of blocking. So you put both hands in front of your face, someone hits you, bam, you immediately just knock them back, you don't get stunned, and they get stunned too. Now moving on to the next thing we need to keep track of, abilities. These are your most important tool in this game, period. This is going to be your main toolbar for doing anything. So I'm going to put abilities into 5, maybe not 5, I'm just going to put them into a few categories, purely just to tell you what the abilities are like. So I'm going to put them into the category of mobility abilities, we have projectiles, we have, look at a player and press trigger, combo enders, combo starters, combo extenders, and no damage, because not everything in this game has to be good, just deal damage. So let's start off with Omni-Man. So Omni-Man has 4 abilities in this game, that being Arrow Charge, Death Punch, Blitz Strike, and Cosmic Meteor. Now for Arrow Charge, I'm going to put it into the category of a combo starter and a mobility move. When you use it, you'll dash forward and then stop unexpectedly after a short wait. But if you were to make contact with someone while you're dashing... Okay, that just goes to show that they need to fix their game, damn. Alright, now as I was saying, since I have Arrow Charge charged up now, if I were to use it and hit him, he goes flying into the air. Now for the look at a player and press RT moves. Now there's a few moves that are like this, such as Void Strike, Pummel Slam, Death Punch, and Blitz Strike, for example. Now how you perform them is simple. All you have to do is simply be near an opponent, I guess around this close could do, and then press trigger while facing towards them, and you'll perform a move. The move will kind of do it for you. It'll do the damage for you. You just have to actually find a way to activate it. So for example, Death Punch, what it will do is that it will launch the opponent into the air when I'm looking at them, and then slam them down to the ground, and then ground them. Now I'm going to put Death Punch into the category of look at a player and press RT, but I'm also going to put it into the category of a combo ender. But it can be used as a combo extender if you want, but honestly, it's just more efficient just to use it as a combo ender. Now, Blitz Strike, it has the same activation as Death Punch. Look at a player, then press RT. Now, I'm going to put this into the category of combo starters, combo extenders, and also look at a player, press RT. Now, if I were to look at my little test dummy here, if I were to look at him and press trigger, I punch him, and then I punch him again. Now, note to self, I didn't have to actually punch there. I didn't have to actually throw punches there. I just did it for, comedic effect. But now let's move on to his next ability, Cosmic Meteor. This I will put into the category of combo starter, combo extender, and also it's a projectile. Now, whenever you use Cosmic Meteor, a meteor will appear above you. You won't be able to see it, but a meteor will appear above you, I swear. Now, after a short while for using this, you will throw it at them. So watch. And that A stuns them, B deals 10 damage, which I think is kind of obscure, but to be fair, it is just an oversized rock. You don't have to use these abilities purely just to get them hold still. You can use them during the combos. So like, watch, if I were to do this, I can do that, and I just keep going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, and boom, he's dead. So a good thing you want to do is learn how to combo your abilities. So what I just did there, that takes some good effort to learn, but you can try and master a lot of these moves in this game. There are a solid 7 characters right now as of the time I'm recording this, but there will be more in the future. I think there'll be like an additional 5 or something, or 4, either one. Just to let you know, not everyone will have the same abilities. There may be some that are similar, like they'll have the same activation,
but a lot of them will have different knockbacks, different damages, and combo differently. Now, if that were a real player, and if that were a real fight, of course that player would like to start blocking. Now, a good tip I can give for if someone starts blocking a bunch, what I can suggest doing, just constantly changing direction, because if they can't face you, they won't be able to block your attack. That's basically the basics to what you need to do for abilities. Alright, so for our final segment here, I'm going to be teaching you about the wonders of air comboing. Now, air comboing is a very, very versatile thing you can do in this game because of how efficient it is. Basically, how to air combo someone, basically, if you hit them and they're high enough in air, you'll start an air combo on them, in which you're able to hit them, they cannot block, and whenever you hit them, you follow them the whole time. So, for example... How the f... Alright, so, for example, let's say if I were to air combo him, so let's just punch him. Do this. How to dash. See? I'm able to air combo him. See how I stuck beside him the whole time? That means I was air comboing him, and he could not have done anything during that. No matter how much you block, you can't do anything about it. You may have seen that my dash bar went to blue for a second during that air combo. What was that about? Well, let me show you. Basically, when you air combo someone, at the end of that air combo, whenever you hit him with the fourth move, your bar will turn blue momentarily. When it turns blue, that means you have 2 dashes you can use for free without having to lower your actual dash. So watch. Watch. See? Now I can do 3, 4. So whenever your dash bar turns blue, that's basically saying, hey, you can dash an additional 2 more times, you know, if you want to continue the air combo, which I admit is very helpful whenever you're comboing someone. Like, look. See? Look how efficient that was. Now, air comboing is very important for a lot of players because most of the time, if you're fighting a good player, they know to block during any situation whenever you're fighting them. Now, if you want to stop this, simply just air combo them. A lot of moves in this game send your opponents up into the air. For example, arrow charge or something like null trail. Those are really good for sending your opponents into the air. Well, you can also just uppercut them if you wanted to send them into the air, but half the time whenever you uppercut, you'd have to hit them with another move, because after you hit someone with a 4-punch combo, you can't hit them again for a short while with a normal punch. But that's basically the basic understanding of how air combos actually work. Alright, so for now, that's just going to be the basic understanding of how to actually play CrossFighters. I'll make separate videos about all the other characters in the future, but for now, I just want to teach you the basic tutorial. If you want me to do the other people, though, I suggest liking and subscribing, purely just for the fact that I can teach everyone else how to play this amazing game and help my community, I guess. Share this video with everyone that you know who plays Rec Room or CrossFighters, just to teach them how to play the game so that situations like in the beginning video where people just join and die immediately, so that won't happen. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.